ბათუმი 15-28 სექტემბერი მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატი ჭადრაკში FIDE-ს ყველაზე პრესტიჟული ღონისძიება მოზარდთა შორის მსოფლიოს 69 ქვეყნის ნიჭიერი და წარმატებული 783 მოჭადრაკე აზიის, ამერიკის, აფრიკის და ევროპის კონტინენტებიდან ითამაშე ჭადრაკი ბათუმში გახდი საუკეთესო მსოფლიოში
ხარული ვარ რომ წელს ბათუმი მასპინძლობს ჭადრაკის მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატს მოზარდთა შორის მინდა მივესალმო თითოეულ მონაწილეს და წარმატებები უსურვო.
FIDE-ს სახელით მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატის ყველა მონაწილეს ვუსურვებ წარმატებას.
Hello dear chess friends, so we are on the round number 2 and now we will start broadcasting. We start with the under 12 open section. Let's take a look. On the first board we have George Samir with white against Uskov Artyom. So we have the opening here with the Spanish defense. So I will quickly review, I'll try to review all the games quickly. Maybe we find something unusual there. So on the second board we have Movahetsina against Karachaygit. Here we have the close Sicilian defense. So let's go to the next one. Here we have Houri Theo against Mamedov Edgar. We have the Karakan defense here with almost mostly equal position here we have after the opening. On the board number 4 we have Dotsar Lukash against Melnikov Fedor. We have the Sicilian defense, also the theoretical line. Next one is Dilgar Dalai against Alizadeh. We have French defense without any unusual things and unexpected. So let's go to the next game. Here we have Ray Martinez against Ghazarian Narek. We have Sicilian defense without any surprises. The next is Angelescu Theodore against Mohammadian Sichani Russia. So we have, let's take a look how it was from the beginning. It's a little bit strange position. Okay, it's not actually too strange, but this is quite passive actually with white, where the black has a good position from the beginning, from the opening. So I think it was a London system. Yes. Yes, that's without any problem for black. Now I will go to the Gal section under 12. Here on the first board we have Preobrazhenskaya Diana against Vlasova Maria. Let's take a look at the opening, what it was there. E4, D6. Yes, kind of filider defense. It's just the beginning, so let's see what happened later. On the second board we have Abramkina Veronika against Ismailova Khanim. Let's take a look what happened here. Yes, it's kind of Benoni with the opposite colors. Let's go to the next board where we have Kali Ahmed against Sezdbekova. We have the Queen's Indian here. Next one, we have Mgeladze Kesaria against Vizcara Quispe. We have the Petrov defense. It's just the beginning. And the next one is Asilkhan with white against Yusefian. Yes, also without any unexpected things. And the last we have here Goryachkina against Khwalyavko Maria. It's interesting what opening it was. King's Indian, hope so. Let's take a look. D4, Knight F6, C4, G6. Yes, it was King's Indian with the D takes E5 line. Yes, maybe slightly better for white. Let's go to the open section under 10. On the first board we have Mendes against Bekmukhanov with the Petrov defense. Next one is Utarik against Smirnov Mark. Yeah, nice beginning. Knight f3, knight f6, d4, e6, bishop g5, bishop e7, knight d2, and the blacks are thinking here. Let's go to the next board. Next board we have Lou Patrick here against Desiuk Roman. Also we have the normal opening without any unusual things there. And next one is Kim Dong-han against Golis Victor. And here we have a crazy struggle already. 13 moves done. Let's take a look from the beginning how it was there. e4, c5, knight f3. So Sicilian, and how did they get to that position so quickly with a knight d5 somewhere? Yes, knight d5, knight f5. Yes, it is definitely the compensation. It is quite tough to play that with the black. Needs much knowledge, but okay, it will be a complicated game. Don't run ahead. Let's take a look how they're gonna continue. On the next board we have Absatar Alisher against Anand Mahbat. So we have Anand. So in the tournament we have Goryachkina in the girls section. In open section we have Anand. That's very nice to see. So here we also have the beginning position, and the last we have there Bulgak Damir against Go Ethan. Yeah, French defense. Sorry, it's not a French defense. The position looks like a French defense with the knight c3 line, but they went to this position from Sicilian. Let's take a look how it was. Yes, black push d5, white push e5, and it went to the French defense structure. Let's go to the girls section, under 10. On the first board here we have Amanjol Hanzada against Li Iris with the King's Indian on the board. Next board we have Basari Senem against Shahin Zainab. Quite interesting position. Let's take a look how it was. e4, e5, Spanish we have here, Marshall system. Take on e5. Okay, the position is mostly equal. Let's go to the next one. Here we have Kutateladze with white against Feng Arabella. We have Sicilian defense here with a very unusual bishop d3 and bishop d2 on the board. Quite interesting, but yes, after a3 black has to give the dark square bishop to trade it on the knight. So that's quite interesting position already we have. Next is Venskaya Nika against Tong Tai. Let's take a look how it was. d4, d5, knight f3, c5, e3, b3. So the whites are playing the queen's gambit with the opposite colors. Bishop b2, bishop f5, bishop d3, take, queen a5 check. I'm not sure about queen a5 check, how much necessary it was, so I think white gonna play just c3. As they are playing with the opposite colors, I think c3 will be not so bad here for a while to put the pawn on c3. Let's go to the next board. We have Omir Seri Kalima against Mirzahani Bahar. We have the Sicilian here also, without any unexpected things. And the next one is Cisco Evangelina against Harutinian Gabriela. Here we also have Sicilian defense with the theoretical line. So let's go to another section, and that's open under 8. Hope to see something very interesting here from the beginning. So for the first board we have here Jahriya Kushal against Avia Garg. The white's position seems better. On the second board we have Polgar Nurali against Larry Mark. This is just the beginning with the Alekhine system. Next we have here Shokjiev Roman against Faramarzi Garossi. With the Italian game, also the theoretical line. Next one is Eshpulatov against Anapuredi Reinash. We have the Sicilian defense, where the blacks start playing actively from the beginning, attacking the b2 pawn. Next one comes Xia Joshua against Johnny Akash. The Spanish we have here. Yes, it seems like there is no any unexpected openings and games we are having here yet. So what's left? Girls under 8. That's our last hope. Let's take a look. Here we have on the first board we have Beriki Zialana against Diao Sujia. We have a Sicilian. Let's take a look how it was. 4 c5, more gambit, c3, knight f6, unexpected. Unaccepted. More gambit, e5, and it goes to the Sicilian defense with the c3 line. So d6, yes, this is quite theoretical thing. Let's see what's gonna be there. I think black has no problems for now. Let's go to the next game. That's board number 2, and we have the end game already here. We have Sivanandan against the Wang Carl. Let's see how it happened that they are already in the end game. So 4 knights defense. Take on d5, that's interesting. Take, and c6, okay. And the blacks are just pawn down. Yes, of course, technically the position is already winning, but it just technically. Let's see how they will fight later. On the next board, we have Nguyen Duan Bao against Veselov Zoe. Just the beginning of the Sicilian defense. Next is Ahmadli Mehriban against Charvi. It's also interesting what kind of opening it was. It's so unusual positions of the pieces. Oh, that was French defense with Queen e2. Knight c6, Knight c3, d6. Yes, it's actually unusual. Knight f3, bishop e7, d4, knight f6, d5. d5 I don't think was necessary at all. Okay, but white has a space. White has a space. They have the space advantage. Next is Duplessis Mia against Machina Victoria. Also unusual position we are having here from the opening. e4, c5, knight f3, e6, knight c3, a6, bishop c4, and then bishop d3. Should not be the best, of course. There is no place for bishop on d3, so from the opening black has just an excellent position. And the next one we have only one move played on the board. Hope everything is okay there. Sorry, I think it is some issues there as the white played c3 and d5, c4. I don't think it is actually happening at the board in the playing hall. Next we have here Fadi Haven against the handler Felicitas. Also unusual positions of the pieces that the black has. Yes, knight c6 is a little bit unusual move, so could be slightly better for white. As you see, we can't find anything special in the openings, so hope the next what they will do in the game and the fight that they have in the game later will be quite interesting and complicated. So let's get back to the open section under 12 here. On the first board we have George Samir against Uskov Artyom. Yeah, actually there only one move is done, knight bd2, till we reviewed that a couple minutes ago. Next we have Movatic, also nothing changed. Then we have Mamedov, also a couple moves are done. Yes, what to say here, the position is equal. On the next board number 4, we have Dotzer against Melnikov. The position becomes quite interesting. The white has a very strong knight on b4. Next we have here is Polgar against Alizada. Also nothing changed from the last moment. So let's go to the girls section under 12. On the first board, yes, the black's position is a little bit passive, but not so dangerous for now. Then on the board number 2, we have Abramkina against Ismailov. As I told you, here we have the Benoni system. We have a Benoni system with the opposite colors, and let's see what on the next board here, girls under 12, we have Mgeladze playing against Viskara Quispe. We have the Petrov defense. Okay, it's very close to equal. I like to go to the under 8 section, as they are playing more quickly and more interesting things actually happening there. So let's go to open section under 8. On the first board we have a big space that Jahria Kushal has. So what to offer for black? Maybe e5, as whites are threatening to play e5, so that's why maybe black has to play e5. That makes sense, at least. Also, I'm kind of attacking the opponent's space, which is actually necessary in this case. So yes, e5 is quite interesting move. I think the black will play that, as otherwise the position will be quite tough. On the second board, maybe some issues, because I don't think that they After 45 minutes playing, they have this position. On the next board, we have Shogzdiev against Faramarzi. Nothing special happening yet. Let's go to the girls section, under 8. They trade the queens. Next, we have here, oh, whites are piece up already. Sivanandan against Wankarel. Let's see how it happened there. So that was 4 knights defense. That's a game where the white was pawn up, but where did they win the bishop? Oh, here. It's just a blunder, bishop c5, and after b4 it's pinned, and of course the game is over here. The white gonna win soon. Let's go to the next board. Here we have Nguyen Doan against Veselo Zoe. Yes, here is everything quiet. Next board we have Ahmadli against Charvi. Something happened here that the black has the statical weakness, the chronicle weakness on d6, which needs to be protected all the time. So that's why white's position right now is of course better. Let's see how it happened there. After this, it was d5, take, and black decided to play c6. Maybe it wasn't the best decision, and taking with the knight, so at least maybe take with the pawn makes more sense. As here we have a weakness on d6 like forever. On the next board we have Duplessis against Machina Victoria. Machina Victoria is playing quite actively, attacking the d3 bishop, which is not on the right place at all. Let's see what will happen there later. So on the next board we have Halafand against Ediberidze Alexandra. Yes, so that was a strange game. So that we are talking about. White played c3 the first move, and on d5 they played c4. That's quite strange. Knight c6, take on d5. Yes, so the white just lost the tempos in the beginning. So let's see how it will continue. Next board we have here Fadi Heaven against Handler, where the white's position is preferable, of course. They have more space and more flexible pieces than the black. Okay, so as we see, nothing special is happening in the openings for now. So what I want to announce, soon we have the special guest, as I promised, and we will do a short break, and then we will be back with our guests. So see you soon, stay with us. Dear chess friends, we're back with a very special guest. We have the chess legend here, Susan Polgar. You are welcome.
Thank you.
And okay, I want to ask you a couple questions. So first of all, we know that you are from you are in the delegation of the United States. And as I remember, there is 28 players from United States. We know that this country is developing chess too much. And a couple of words, please, about the expectations and what is your delegation planning. I saw that on the first round, most of them won their games. And please, couple of words about this.
Yes, in fact, American chess has improved greatly in the last couple of decades, and we're optimistic as a delegation that hopefully some of our team members will win medals and hopefully even gold. Of course, it's just the beginning, so whether some players won or lost doesn't mean much, just one round.
Okay, and everybody is interesting about your connections, relationships with Batumi, Georgians, the Georgian chess players. So please give us a couple of words about that.
Yes, of course. I grew up admiring the legendary Georgian women chess players, and then I had the honor to challenge them as well. And when I became world champion, on my way I had to defeat Mayachi Burdanidze to become world champion. And then many years later, I was here the first time for the Chess Olympiad in 2018. And I warmly remember the great hospitality of the organizers and the country, and I'm glad to be back.
How many times you are already in Georgia?
It's just the second time.
It's just the second time, so only in 2018?
And now.
And now. Okay, I see. And also, it is very interesting to know your opinion about this tournament that we have, the World Youth Championship here. How it goes, how is the conditions for the players, how is the organization happening here? Is everything okay, or you can mention something that is necessary to improve maybe?
Well, first of all, this is a wonderful event that did not exist when I was a competitive player. It got introduced, I believe, somewhere in the mid-1980s. And it's a fantastic opportunity, I think, for the young chess players to get the experience and to grow and compete with their peers. So it's a wonderful event in itself. And I remember initially it used to be the World Youth, where all age groups all the way up to 18 used to play together. And over the years, the event grew to be so big that FIDE decided to separate them, the World Cadets and the World Youth. And here we have, I think, over 750 players.
Yes,
in
from
the tournament,
69 different countries.
which is fabulous in so many levels, really, for I think it's great probably for Batumi to showcase Batumi and Georgia and the culture and the food and everything else to the world, coming here to see it firsthand. And of course, I think it's a great opportunity for all the participants to travel the world and again compete for world titles at such a young age. I think the organizers are doing their very best, and I think the playing conditions are excellent. I remember I was told that before the tournament all the light bulbs, all 800, were exchanged in the playing room of the girls, and indeed it has excellent lighting, which is one of the key issues in many tournaments from the organizers' perspective, that they are sometimes rooms are set up for more romantic or other kind of
it's happening like that.
events, not chess events, where lighting is, for example, quite important. And I think the tournament halls are spacious enough for the players, and they have good arbiters. So I think in general everything is pretty well organized.
Very good. Thank you very much for such a good evaluation. And Okay, I hope to see you a lot of times in Georgia. So you are
Thank
very
you.
welcome, and we are very happy that you are here. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. Always a pleasure to be back.
So we will do a short break, and we will be with you shortly. Thank you.
ბათუმი 15-28 სექტემბერი სოფლიო ჩემპიონატი ჭადრაკში FIDE-ს ყველაზე პრესტიჟული ღონისძიება მოზარდთა შორის სოფლიოს 69 ქვეყნის ნიჭიერი და წარმატებული 783 მოჭადრაკე აზიის, ამერიკის, აფრიკის და ევროპის კონტინენტებიდან ითამაშე ჭადრაკი ბათუმში გახდი საუკეთესო მსოფლიოში
ხარული ვარ რომ წელს ბათუმი მასპინძლობს ჭადრაკის მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატს მოზარდთა შორის მინდა მივესალმო თითოეულ მონაწილეს და წარმატებები უსურვო
FIDE-ს სახელით მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატის ყველა მონაწილეს ვუსურვებ წარმატებას.
Hello, dear chess friends. We are back after the short break. As you know, we had a very great, the great guest here, Susan Polgar, and now we will continue our broadcasting of the games, and we will start with the open section under 12. And on the first board here we have George Samir with white playing against Uskov Artyom. So we have a couple, about 5-6 moves done from our last moment. Let's take a look what happened there. So h6, knight d2, okay, d4. Okay, the position is very close to equal, without any special things happening. On the second board we have Movahid Sina, which played a very good game yesterday. If you remember, he sacrificed one pawn then another to get the initiative, and then he used that initiative perfectly. Now what we have here is a couple moves they played. So after e5, take on e5 and knight d5. Okay, the only problem that the black has, that's a b6 square, which is a little bit weak, but all other things are okay. So the position is quite complicated, we can say like that. It's complicated. It will be a great fight in this game. So on the board number 3 we have Hori Theo against Mamedov Edgar. Let's take a look. So mostly in these kind of positions, the white's plan is to attack on the king side, and the black's plan is to attack on the queen side. So for this moment, somehow both of the players are trying to stop the opponent's ideas and opponent's plan. The black put the pawn on h5 to don't give any space to the white, and from other side the white also put a4 to don't give b5 to the opponent. We can say that the position is with the equal chances. Let's see what will happen there later. On the next board here we have Dotzer against Melnikov. Hope it is black, sorry, white to move. Yes, that's so. It's white to move. Let's take a look on last moves that happened there. Yes, it was the position where we stopped. Take on a6 and a3. So black decided to sacrifice the pawn. Yeah, that will be definitely the compensation for that pawn, but I don't think that it will be more than the compensation. It will be just a compensation for the pawn. Let's go to the next board. Very interesting position, I'll tell you straightly. King on f2, it seems like not so safe, but actually there is no danger there at all to the king. And of course whites are planning to attack the king side, and the blacks are planning to attack the queen side. Let's go to the next game. Here we have Ray Martinez against Ghazarian. With the Sicilian defense here, h5 is quite interesting idea. So here is a quite complicated position. Now I would like to go to the Gal section. On the board number 1 we have Preobrazhenskaya against Vlasova Maria, where it seems like last move was knight f5. Okay, let's take a look. So that was the first moves, then later knight g3, e takes d4, and knight f5, attacking the g7 pawn. Later white just want to capture on d4, and they have the perfect position. Yes, the position is quite good for white. On the next board we have Abramkina Veronika against Ismailova Khanim. So still we have the same type position, the Benoni with the opposite colors. Yeah, the quite complicated position with the equal chances for both of the players. And on the next board, number 3, we have Kali Ahmed Elnaz against Sestbekova Ijan, with the Queen's Indian defense from the beginning, with the theoretical position for now. Let's go to the next game, where Mgeladze Kesaria is playing against Vizcara Quespe. It was a Petrov. Let's take a look at the last moves after knight c3, knight takes c3, queen h4, rook e1 check, bishop e6, g3, and queen h5. So the last move was h6. So what's going on if I capture on d5? I think that pawn is just hanging. And if that pawn is hanging, why not? Okay, I understand that there will be some compensation connected to the long castle. Yes, that will be the compensation for sure, and maybe it will be a quite dangerous compensation, as there is not a best place here with the queen to go. I think the queen has to go on e4. Yes, that will be a quite complicated position, but okay, at least whites are pawn up. I don't think that in this moment we have something better than that. The blacks are going to do the long castle anyway, so it's better to capture on d5. I think so, that that will be the best move there. Let's go to the next game, where we have Asilkhan against Yusefian. Okay, again, in this kind of positions, white has to attack on the king side and the black has to attack on the queen side. And as you see, there is already attack ready on the queen side, and there is nothing happening on the king side yet. So seems like blacks are slightly better in this position. And we have here Goryachkina against Kholavko Maria. Yeah, strategically the position for black is very good because of the d4 square, which will be excellent for the black knight to stay there, or even rook can stay there. So what does white have for that? I mean, what is that they have that could compensate that weakness is very difficult to see, right? The bishop on e2 is not the best piece at all, and the dark squares are quite weak, so it will be a tough game for Goryachkina. And the next one here we have Shubhi against Hafizova, where Shubhi has a excellent knight on d6 for now. but later maybe it needs to be supported. Seems like whites are better. Anyway, they are of course better because kind of weaknesses on the king side connected to the light squares appears. So in case we trade the, in case the white will trade the opponent's light square bishop, there will be quite dangerous having those weaknesses. I mean the light squares which are weak. It will be very difficult to support them. So we can say that white's position is definitely better here. Let's go to the section open under 10. Here on the first board we have Mendes playing against Beg Muhanov. The position is quite interesting. Let's take a look at the last moves that happened in the game. So after queen c2, c6, a3. Okay, here we are. The e5 pawn is quite strong. We have to mention that immediately. I don't think that there is any danger to the white king, as the king can go anytime. It can go on h1 square and be safe, totally safe there. And e5 pawn is actually forever. So the white has a passed pawn, which is a quite big power for now, and maybe later it will be more powerful. So I definitely prefer the white's position here. Next game we have is Tarik against the Smirnov mark. Black's position is quite passive. And because of that, of course, it is better to play this game with the white than the black. But also we have to mention that there is not a special danger there for black or any weaknesses. So a position is slightly better for white here. Let's see how they're gonna do later. On the next board we have Liu Patrick against Dasiuk Roman. Interesting thing happened here. Let's take a look how it was. f4. The white faced e5 with f4 move. Very interesting decision. E takes d4, e takes d4. Knight d5. I'm not sure that f4 is the best that the white can do, because there is a weakness on e4, but there is some tactics appearing here. So the bishop is hanging on f5 and also d5. Pawn is hanging. So for example, black does not have bishop e6 move because of f5. And now f4 on the board makes sense. So if that move is supported with the tactics, then it makes sense, you know. Otherwise, strategically, of course, it was not the best decision, but tactically, if it is supported well. So let's take a look a little bit more on this position. So bishop on f5 is hanging. And what to do with that bishop? Okay, if the black captures on f4, then there is rook f1. And as I see, the white are just gaining the piece on f5. So, for example, if they play like this, then the white capture on f5, they are piece up. Okay, if not, then what to do? Bishop e4. Okay, in the game already was bishop e4. Knight takes d5. And queen c6. Yes, but at least here white can just capture on b4 and then play simply bishop f1. Sorry, bishop c2 is in this case. Bishop f1 does not work so well because there is bishop c2. So what to play on queen c6? Yes, the knight and the bishop c2 is hanging on the same time, so maybe knight c3 makes sense. Maybe knight c3 makes sense because if they capture on g2, d5, there is nothing special happening with d5 because black can play at least queen b6 check and then move with the bishop, and the king will be quite weak there. Otherwise, what else white can do? Is it possible to play bishop b5? Queen f3 and just take on d7. Black does not have bishop h3 because white bishop will capture that, and otherwise it's not so clear how to continue the attack. It's very nice position. That's very interesting position. We will be back to that position later. Let's go to the next board. Here we have Kim Do-hwan against Golis Victor. Yeah, okay, what to say about this position? Obviously it has to be the draw, but I will not be surprised if any of the side will win this game, as both of them has chances for that. So let's see how they will show us their techniques of the endgame, and mostly the rook's endgame. Next, we have Absatar against Anand. Anand's knights are quite nice for now, but the white knight on d4 is also okay. So mostly equal. Let's go to the next section. We have girls under 10. On the first board we have Amanjol against Liris. Pushing e5 is only and the best idea for white to do. So the position is quite complicated. Let's go to the next one where we have Basari against Shahin Zainab. Very bad pawn structure on the king side. Very bad pawn structure. Yeah, whites are definitely better in this position. Then we have Kutateladze against Fang Arabella. Yeah, at the beginning I just want to show you the thing that was happening from here. Bishop d3, bishop d2. We said that it was a little bit passive, but after a3 we are getting the bishop, and that's why that's absolutely okay for white. Bishop e6, knight d2, castle, knight c5. Seems like black has no problem for now. They have no problem. Let's see how it goes. Let's go to the open section under 8 on the first board. Nothing much happening between Jahria and Aviai. So black did not play e5 as I remember here, and as we are considering in this moment to play e5 with black. Instead of that they play knight h7. I'm not sure that's the best. e5, queen c2 and f5, rook e1. If I am white here, I definitely capture this. Yeah, let's have this kind of pawn structure for black. Instead of that, white played rook e1. Okay, let's go to the next board where we have Bolashakov against Larry Mark. Yes, here we have the issues, definitely. They are not having the position that we have here now. Let's go to the next board where we have Zhogzdiev against Faramarzi. The black's bishops are trying to do the job, and for now they are minus plus okay with that. So they of course have some counterplay that compensates the pawn range and the space advantage that the white has. Next board we have Eshpulato Vislombek against Anaporedi, where the white is sorry, that's the final position here. White resigned as they are piece down. Let's go to the section girls under 8. On the first board, whites are rook up. Whites are just rook up, and okay, it's like the move they're gonna capture. It's very interesting why they are not doing the moves in such a kind of position where it's just the only move. So after taking on d8, it will be better endgame for white because of the active king. We know that in the endgame having the active king makes a very big sense, and okay, I'm not paying too much attention on the bad pawn structure that the black has because white has no forces to attack that pawn, so that makes no big sense. More important and much more important is the active king, so they will be better, but I don't think it will be enough to win the game. On the board number 2, we already have the result with the 2 extra queens for white. So Sivanandan won against Wang Carroll. Let's see how it was. Yes, that was the position where the white were just pawn up, then they were piece up, and finally they won this game. We are talking about that the black could not survive in that position. And here we have Guendoan against Veselov Zoe with the amazing pawn structure on the board, the pawns on e5 and f5, and on the same time b2 and b4. Last move was e5 for white. So of course it is a simple idea to understand that on taking there is bishop e5. Sorry, attacking the queen and the pawn. White blacks are forced to play queen e7. So king h1 for example, and f6. On f6 I think I have bishop c7. I have bishop c7, and then I will take the pawn on e6. So it seems like taking on e5 will not be the best at all, but otherwise also what to do? That's a question. That's a question. Seems like the white has a very good initiative. Let's see how it goes. Because if the white will not use their initiative, otherwise strategically the position for black will be much better. They have the pair of the bishops. The position will be open up soon, and the extra pawn that the white has on the queen side is not actually extra, as it is double, and the white could not use that pawn as an extra pawn. So strategically the position for black will be quite okay. Let's go to the next board here. We have Ahmadli Mehriban against Charvi. Yes, well, we are talking about the d6 pawn that was not so necessary to create that isolated pawn by themselves. I mean, the black did c6 move. I will show you that moment where the black played c6. It was a position. They played c6, and after d takes c6, they capture with the knight. I think taking with a pawn was making more sense. For example, b takes c6, and later I can play even d5. For example, on castle I can play d5. I think that will be more mobile pawn structure for black than in the game, which goes to the isolated pawn position on d6 without any active ideas, without any initiative. Yeah, we just have the isolated pawn on d6. Okay, next game here we have, it is Duplessis against Machina, Victoria. So what do we have here? Whites are pawn down. How it happened? Let's take a look. So that was the moment where we said that Machina is quite active and pushing her pawns on the queen side, taking on b3. And they just captured the c2 pawn. So maybe don't give that pawn and at least play rook a2. That makes sense, right? Why to give the pawn? Why to be the pawn down? So white just gave the pawn, and after this, after all of this, they are just pawn down. They are just pawn down. Technically, the position is winning for black. On the next board, we have Halafand Dorsai against Eddie Berizzi Alexandra. Let's take a look at the last games that happened in the game. So, bishop b4, castle, castle a3, bishop c5, okay, bishop a5. What an interesting decision. Very unusual, my friends, very unusual. I don't understand this move. Why not to just capture on d4 either with the pawn or with the bishop? Everywhere the black's position is minus plus, okay? Instead of that, they played a very strange bishop a5. For now, they are piece down, but both of the knights are hanging. But I'm not sure about bishop a5 move at all. For example, if the white play knight c6, blacks are forced to capture this, and now even bishop b2. White can't capture on b5 because there is a pin on h1, a8 diagonal, and the c6 pawn by itself, it's already hanging. Yes, bishop a5 is a little bit strange move, I'll tell you straightly. On the next board, we have FIDE Haven against Handler Felicitas. So, what's going on? Whites are pawn up, and also the position is with a very big advantage. So, it means that the blacks are in a very tough situation, and everything goes to that the white will win this game. Okay, now we can go back to the open section under 12. Here we are. Here we have George Samir with white against Uskov Artyom. Yeah, it seems like this Uskov Artyom, okay, I will just remind you, this is the first number of under 12 open section, and we can feel his level. Actually, he's very solid. He's playing the correct chess, so we can say like that, step by step improving his position. This kid looks very well. This kid looks very well. Also, the position is quite okay for black. On the next board, we have Movahed Sina. Slightly better for white, okay? Just slightly better, nothing special is happening. On the next board, we have Houri against Mamedov Edgar. Yes, here a lot of things happened. It's very interesting to take a look. So, we already reviewed this moment. Sorry, we had a technical issue, so we stopped on the game of Horiteo against Mamedov Edgar. So b4. I'm not sure about that move at all. Knight c4, take on c4, take, knight e4. Knight d5. Okay, I think it was better for white to capture that knight. To capture on e4. Like this. Okay, the position is of course very close to equal. So maybe b4 is not so bad here, as if they are forcing to play knight c4. But what happens if I don't play knight c4 and I play knight c6 to keep that weakness on c3? Yeah, that makes sense. To keep the weakness on c3, that later we can attack that weakness. I think knight c6 was better, but the black played knight c4, and in the end we have this position, which is quite unclear. Next board we have Dotsor against Melnikov. As we know, Melnikov sacrificed the pawn on a3. I'll show you this position where he sacrificed that. He played a3 here, just sacrificed that pawn for the initiative, making the white's pawn structure bad on the queen side. So of course he has a compensation. Definitely black has a compensation. Maybe for now they could have more than the compensation, as a pawn structure for white is bad. That's actually bad. Let's go to the next game, where we have Delger Dalai against Alizada Pasham. That's clear advantage. That's clear advantage for white, as they have protected passed pawn on e5, and also they have a chance in case they need to attack on the king side. From other side, black will try to put their knight on e6 or even bishop and start the attack on the queen side. But still, the white already has a protected passed pawn on e5, so I think they have the better chances there. But nothing so dangerous. That's definitely nothing so dangerous. Next one we have Ray Martinez against Hazarian. That was the same position that we reviewed last time, about half an hour ago. So maybe there is some issue with this board. Let's go to the girls section under 12. Here we are. Preobrazhenskaya against Vlasova. Only 12 moves done already, almost 2 hours of playing. Let's take a look. Knight g3. We saw this position. After that it was d takes c3, knight takes g7. Maybe that was not necessary. Okay, white still have the initiative, but maybe it was possible just to capture on c3, to have the equal pawns on the board and with the dancing king for the opponent. Instead of that, white played on capture on a. I don't think they blunder on b2. It's not so difficult to see that move. So later it was bishop takes b2, knight h5. That rook on h8 is hanging. So what's going on if the white will capture there? So bishop h8, queen takes h8. Now a1 rook is hanging. Yeah, black has some initiative, you know. They have the pawn for exchange, and the dark squares are quite weak for white. So the game becomes complicated. Let's go to the next one. Here we have Abramkina Veronika against Ismailova Hanim. Here only one move is done from the last moment. We already said that it is a Benoni happening here with the opposite colors, where the opponent has the equal chances for now. Let's go to the next game where we have Kali Ahmet Elnaz against Sesbekovajan. Also no moves done yet. Okay, let's go to the open section under 10. Let's go to the open section under 10, where on the first board we have Mendes won the game. Oh my god, what an interesting position, the final one. Let's take a look how it happened. So this was the opening. After that, how the white creates such a huge attack so quickly. Yes, we were talking about the e-pawn. If you remember that the passed pawn we have on e-file will be quite powerful, and it was already powerful. f4, rook a1. Oh, what a pity blunder. But from another way, how to support that blunder? I mean, the threat that h7 pawn is hanging with the checkmate. We could not play g6, definitely, because it's pinned from the bishop from b2. And otherwise, how to support? Yeah, what a strange position. After queen e4, it's kind of unstoppable checkmate. So as you see, that e-pawn did his job, and Mendes used that very well. Let's go to the next game. Here we have you, Tariq, against Smirnov, Mark, where the position is very simple, we can say like that. It's a simple position with the equal chances. Lou Patrick against Dasyuk Roman. Oh, it's very interesting what happened here. This was the position where the black sacrificed the pawn, okay, white capture, and bishop b5 immediately. Of course, that makes sense. Queen g6, queen g3. In that case, whites are just pawn up. Now they are just pawn up. It's healthy pawn, so, okay, it's the question only about the techniques, if the white will win this game technically without giving any chance to the opponent, because the position is technically winning. Let's go to the next board. So no moves are done here. It's a little bit strange. And Anand with the black. Also no moves happening here. Let's go to the girls section under 10. On the first board we have Amanjol against Liris. The last move was bishop f4. I don't think that the d6 pawn will be a big problem. I don't think, and the black has a perfect counterplay on the queen side. They have a space, and the white has a weak pawn on a2. And so the position is quite complicated. Let's take a look at the next game. This is what we are talking about, the bad, very bad pawn structure on the king side. That's why blacks are not risking to win the game because of that. So their main trouble is somehow to support their weaknesses, to protect them and to hold the position. Let's see what will happen there. On the next board we have Kutateladze against Fang Arabella. Pawn on e4 is hanging. And on f3 I think there is some tactics like this. And when we take this, there is queen c5 check, and then taking back the piece, and will be pawn up with the black. So if not f3, then how to support the e4 pawn? With the bishop d3 maybe? I don't want to play that move and to put my bishop one more time on d3 square, as it already was there. But if there is no more moves, and it seems like there is no more moves, then maybe that's the only thing that the white has to do, bishop d3. Let's go to the next board. Here we have Venskaya Nika against Tongzai. With a very complicated position, mostly with the equal chances, but it does not mean that the position is equal. There are a lot of things could happen there. Let's go to the open section under 8. What a nice pawn range the white has, and how intensively blacks are pushing their pawns on the king side. It has to be dangerous, but let's see. On the second board we have Bolashakov against Larry Mark, with a position that we don't have moves from broadcasting. Next game, Shokjiev against Faramarzi. Yes, anyways, I was telling you that e5 pawn and the space makes a big sense. Blacks are trying to compensate that fact with being active with the bishop, sometimes from the left side, sometimes from the right side. But whites are better. Next, we have here the result. Eshpulatov lost against Anna Puredi. Let's go to the girls under 8. Let's review the games there, and then we will do the short break. So on the board number 1, yeah, the white activate their king, but not so much. And suddenly, from the weak pawn on e file that the black had, now it creates to the, went to the passed pawn. So that's a best option actually for black, to have the passed pawn instead of isolated pawn on e file. Everything could happen in this position, everything could happen. White's king is active, but not so much to create any problems and danger to black. On the next board we have the result. On the board number 3 we have Nguyen against Veselo. I think black just has to capture, has to push the pawn. Why not? And let's play with a passed pawn, which seems like an extra. Why not? Yeah, because the white has to have the extra pawn on the queen side, and they have it, but it is so double that they could not use that. The next board here we have Ahmadli against Charvi, with the same d6 pawn on the board. Next is Duplessis against Machina, with the pawn up for Machina. And the last border we have to review is Halafand against Edi Beridze. Edi Beridze, yes. As I was talking and saying that the bishop a5 here was a very strange move, that was not necessary to be tricky like that. White played knight c6. It is very interesting and very nice that the kids in age 8, the girls, are finding the moves like that at the board. That's amazing actually. Capture and queen c2. So instead of queen c2, I was, well, I just don't remember what I was saying, but queen c2 also seems quite okay. It seems quite okay. Rook b8, and after that, white can just capture on c6, and they will be pawn up. Okay, dear chess friends, now we go to the break, and we'll be back shortly. See you soon.
ბათუმი 15-28 სექტემბერი სოფლიო ჩემპიონატი ჭადრაკში FIDE-ს ყველაზე პრესტიჟული ღონისძიება მოზარდთა შორის სოფლიოს 69 ქვეყნის ნიჭიერი და წარმატებული 783 მოჭადრაკე აზიის, ამერიკის, აფრიკის და ევროპის კონტინენტებიდან ითამაშე ჭადრაკი ბათუმში გახდი საუკეთესო მსოფლიოში
ხარული ვარ რომ წელს ბათუმი მასპინძლობს ჭადრაკის მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატს მოზარდთა შორის მინდა მივესალმო თითოეულ მონაწილეს და წარმატებები უსურვო
FIDE-ს სახელით მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატის ყველა მონაწილეს ვუსურვებ წარმატებას.
ბათუმი 15-28 სექტემბერი სოფლიო ჩემპიონატი ჭადრაკში FIDE-ს ყველაზე პრესტიჟული ღონისძიება მოზარდთა შორის სოფლიოს 69 ქვეყნის ნიჭიერი და წარმატებული 783 მოჭადრაკე აზიის, ამერიკის, აფრიკის და ევროპის კონტინენტებიდან ითამაშე ჭადრაკი ბათუმში გახდი საუკეთესო მსოფლიოში
ხარული ვარ რომ წელს ბათუმი მასპინძლობს ჭადრაკის მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატს მოზარდთა შორის მინდა მივესალმო თითოეულ მონაწილეს და წარმატებები უსურვო
FIDE-ს სახელით მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატის ყველა მონაწილეს ვუსურვებ წარმატებას.
Hello dear chess fans, we continue our broadcasting from Batumi where we have the World Championship under 8, 10 and 12 open and the girls section. We have more than the 750 players here from 69 different countries. I am Grandmaster Valeri Gaprindashvili with you and we continue with the open section under 12. Let's start from the first board. On the first board here we have George Samir playing against Uskov Artyom. As I told you, Uskov Artyom is actually good guy. He's doing the excellent chess for now, we can say like that. Improving his position step by step in these two games, what we already saw. Let's see how he continues. Here the position is quite difficult. It is quite difficult, of course, to win with the black, but he's doing his best and obviously he has a good chances for success. So let's go to the next board. We have here Movahed Sina with white. Yes, the position is quite much equal as the black, in case they need, they could play e5, and after e5 there will be actually some space in the center for them, and bishop on c3 will be quite stacked and doing nothing much. So he has to create something, maybe connected to rook a e1 and f4 somewhere. So for example, rook a e1 and on e5 to play f4 to open up the position as much as possible, but still obviously black does not have any problem in this position. Let's go to the next board, board number 3, where we have against Mamedov Edgar. Let's see what happened. Moves. So from here we saw knight c5 and later it was queen c6 in the game, king h2, knight takes b4, queen takes, knight takes c6, rook b1, knight e7, knight d7. Quite interesting position. Seems like white blundered the pawn there in this position. They blundered after king h2, they blundered knight b4, but mostly that does not look like a blunder from the chess point of view. It looks like a very good compensation for the pawn. After rook b1, as a b file is open now, and after knight e7, knight d7. So the position for black seems like dangerous. Because when the rook goes somewhere, does not matter, we just capture on b7, and when we capture on b7, our rook on b7 will be on the 7th rank, will be quite strong, and in case the knight goes somewhere like d5, then it will be knight e5 attacking the f7 and the c4 pawn on the same time. Okay, it has to be equal, but quite complicated, and both of the sides has a chance to to win this game, so let's see what will be there later. On the next board we have Dotzer against Melnikov. So the last move was after knight d5 and bishop b3, black capture on d5. So the white will also capture. Okay, it seems too much as a draw. For example, bishop takes d5, take on c3. The position is equal. Okay, it's slightly better maybe for white, slightly better for white, as this pawn anyway is creating some troubles for now that the black has to solve. But I don't think it will be a very big danger there, so the position is not like a very close to equal, it is very close to draw actually. So let's go to the next game where we have Ray Martinez playing against Kazarian. Ray Martinez is having the better position, that's for sure. That's for sure, as the black king is in the center and it couldn't go also on the queen side because of the h5 pawn, which could be the weakness in that case. Also white has more space and the pair of the bishops, so white's position is better here. On the next board we have Angelescu against Mohammadian Sichani. Very nice position we're having here. Very nice position we're having here. Very nice and complicated. The last move was rook f8 from black. So definitely black's position is quite okay, as they have more space. White does not have any counterplay anywhere. They are trying to do something on the king side, but it's going to be dangerous even for them. So of course, black's position is more preferable. Let's go to the next board. Let's go to the girl section. Let's go to the girl section under 12. Let's see what's going on there. On the first board we have Preobrazhenskaya against Vlasova Maria. Seems like losing. Seems like totally losing, but the game is still in progress. Let's see what happened here in this game, starting from this moment where we said that the black's king is jumping in the center, and that's why the white's position is much better. So after e5, whites are opening up the files, which is of course very good for them and very dangerous for the opponent's king. e5, take on e5, knight d5, bishop e4, king e6. What a brave king, what a brave king. And that's it, just blundering the piece, and not only the piece but the whole game. Yes, it just game over. So it seems like Preobrazhenskaya is one of the leaders and playing quite well, So we can say about those two kids in open section, Artyom Uskov and here Preobrazhenskaya Diana, their chess looks like very well. So blacks are thinking here, but there is actually nothing much to think. They are rook down, and also they are losing more material there. If there is no checkmate, at least they are losing something more. So the position is totally losing for black. Let's go to the next game, which was more complicated. That's Abramkina playing against Ismailova. And we have the same type of the position still on the board. The white has the weakness on a3, the black has the weakness on b7. So the white has a problem with developing the knight from b1, and on the same time black has a problem with developing the bishop from c8. So these facts are compensating minus plus each other, and who's going to use more and better the weakness of the opponent, of course, you're going to win the game. So for now the position is complicated, quite unclear. Let's go to the next board where we have Kali Ahmed against Sestbekova. I'm not sure they have the same position that we have here. I think it is some issues here because it's move number 13 and they start playing more than the 2 hours ago and they are not doing the moves on the board. So maybe there is some issues. Let's go to the next board where we have Geladze Kesaria against Vizcara Quispe. So we are talking about taking the pawn on d5 and I think it actually happened in the game, so I will go back now and take a look at that. Queen h5, h6, and queen takes d5, as we were saying it. Oh, it's a little bit strange. Why the short side and why not the long side? It's quite strange. I think it was better to do it on the long side more than the short side. Queen e4, g6. Take another pawn. Yes, so now the whites are 2 pawns up. Okay, that's technically winning position actually. So let's see how Geladze will continue there. On the next board we have Asilkhan Arsia against Yusefian. Let's take a look on the last moves that happened there. A4 looks nice. Take on b3, take, and b4. Yes, the only side that could play to win the game. This is black. This is black. Their position is much better. Let's go to the next game where we have Goryachkina Oksana against Holavko Maria. And happened exactly the same thing that we were talking about, that the white has a big trouble connected to d4 weakness. I mean the weak square that they had on d4. And okay, I think first on the d4 square it was knight and later rook stays there. So this is exactly what we said. Just take a look at that. After this position, Bishop f7, knight goes. Yes, we saw this position, knight d4, exactly what we are talking about. So Holavko Maria is doing quite well here. a5, excellent, the technical move. We can see these kind of moves quite often in the age like this. So it is very nice to see that Maria is doing moves like that. King h1, bishop e6. I'm not sure about bishop e6, but okay, it's not changing much. Rook c2 and rook, repeating the moves. So once, and then rook d4. Yes, okay, big advantage. Strategically, it's also, we can say that strategically it is even winning. So what the black has to take care about later is that to don't give any counterplay to the opponent, and the position could say that it will be winning by itself, improving step by step. Let's go to the next board. We have Shubhi playing with white against Hafizova. Shubhi has the extra exchange and the extra pawn, so the position is totally winning for white. Let's go to the section open under 10. Here we have Mendes done already. We saw that he made the checkmate. On the next board we have Utarik against Smirnov Mark with a quite complicated position. Blacks are pawn up, but definitely it is a compensation for white because of the passive pieces that the black has. So let's see how they will continue here. So the last move was queen b2. Let's take a look a little bit earlier after bishop b5, knight d4 take, rook e1, and the queen b6, bishop c4, take on b2. So as I see on e5, black has knight d5. Yes, maybe e5 does not work because of that. I don't want to trade the pieces. Definitely I don't want to do that. But otherwise, if not e5, then what to play? Very interesting position. Everything depends on that. How big compensation do I have here? Yes, it's very difficult to find out something more than the e5. Maybe Tarek was also hoping on e5 move, but he miscalculated knight d5, and that's why he's thinking no. Okay, I'm not saying that the white's position is bad, we're just considering how big is the compensation. Okay, it's a fact that there is already the compensation for the pawn, but maybe not for more. Let's go to the next game. Here we have Leo Patrick against Dasiuk Roman, where Leo Patrick has 2 extra pawns, so the position is technically winning. There is nothing much to review there. And another interesting game between him and Golis. Blacks are quite technically improving their king and their pieces, so later, if there will be the chance to play h4, of course I'll play h4 with black. But I don't understand one thing, it is white to move, so what's going on rook g3 check? Seems like they are going to play rook g4, definitely. And now what's happening if the white captures on b4? Maybe rook e2. As I told you, the position obviously was equal, but nobody knows who will win this game. But in this case, as a black king is quite active, then I preferred the black's position as the active. It's a quite important thing and quite a powerful thing. So that's why I like the black's position more than the white's. Let's go to the next section. This is girls under 10, and on the first board we have Aman Scholl playing against Lee Iris. Yes, as I told you, there is nothing special happened connected to the d6 pawn, and now it is black to move. Because of bishop f5. G6 pawn is hanging, but it's not so dangerous. Of course, the only thing that we have to pay our attention is that to don't blunder and don't play king h7, is after knight g6. The game is like over, because we are just losing the pawn. In case of king takes on g6, there will be queen takes g4. So black does not have to blunder that. Black does not have to blunder that. And on knight h4, okay, maybe simple queen f6 works, so why not? Why not? That's everything okay with the queen f6. So it can be done simply. Now g5 is hanging or not yet? Okay, g5 is not hanging yet, it seems like that. But okay, we can play knight e5 anytime. So because of the pawn structure that white has 3 pawn islands, mostly the a2 pawn is very weak, we can say that black's position is better. And also, you know, those bishops that the white has, the pair of the bishops, does not work so well that is requested for them. So that's why black's position is better. Let's go to the next board where we have Valeri playing against Shahin Zainab. Valeri is also doing quite technically. She gained the e file, pinned the knight on d6. It seems too tough for black. It is too tough position for black, as the white's all pieces, okay, I'm not talking about the kings, all of the pieces that the white has are active and all pieces that the black has are passive. Also c5 is hanging, and how to stop that c5 and how to go out from that pin. Seems like white will win this game easily. Let's go to the next game where we have Kutateladze playing against Fang Arabella. And this is a position, okay, very undeveloped queen side, very undeveloped queen side, and that's a problem, that's a problem. I understand that the white's idea could be bishop b2 and later play c4 if they have the time for that. That will be excellent to do like that, but do they have a time? It is a black to move. It is black to move, and they have even the move like a4, which will be very interesting. After a4, we are breaking the pawn range on the queen side, which already is in trouble because the pieces that the white has, they are not connected to each other, and any trouble they have will be very difficult to solve because of the passive pieces. So a4, I think, is creating the extra troubles on the queen side. Okay, let's go to the next game. Here we have Venskaya Nika playing against Tong Tai. The last move was queen c3 played by white. Very interesting position we are having here. The white's position is quite healthy, maybe even with slightly better chances for white. Slightly better chances for white. Here we have even Venskaya Nika in our monitor. We can take a look at her with the blonde hair playing against Tong Tai Hoang with the mask on the face. As you see, the people are still a little bit afraid of the virus. Okay, let's go to the next board. Here we have Omirsari Kalima against Mirzahani Bahar. Mirzahani Bahar is creating the passed pawn on h file, which will be definitely dangerous one. So I think the whites are forced to capture here, and somehow play king f2 to be on time and block that pawn with the king. Otherwise, if we block that with the rook, of course it will be just losing. So it's interesting what's going on here, but I still don't like white's position. When you are forced to make your king so passive in the endgame, it's not the best option at all. For example, h3, on h3 there will be king g1, what else? Otherwise we're pushing the h2 pawn, and after king g1, rook g8 I think is a very strong one, and after king h1 we can try to play rook g2. It will be very difficult to survive here with white. It will be very difficult, just very difficult. Okay, but black has to find that idea with the rook g8 and rook g2 and not push the h2 pawn, because pushing h2 pawn makes no sense at all. Let's go to the next game where we have Cisco against Harutinian Gabriela. The last move was Queen D5. Everything is equal. The only trouble that the black has, this is a fact that the bishop on E5 and the pawn on F7 hanging. But I think it will be possible to protect it. It's interesting what was on the last moves. So it was like that, take, 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 and Queen D5. Double attack. It's just a double attack. Queen E8 makes no big sense because after Rook E1 it will be pinned, and that will be worse actually for black. So I'm thinking about F6, but after F6 the king becomes not safe. So as you see, white has the chances here. White has the chances. The black has some problems to solve, and we know usually not only in this level, in any of the level, even in the top level, when somebody has a problems, exactly for that moment they are doing the mistakes. So the black has the problems to solve here. Let's see how Gabriela gonna solve it. Let's go to the section open under 8 and let's take a look. Here we have the result. On the first board, Jahria beat Aviai. On the second board, yes, it's still stacked, the position, and we don't know what's actually happening there. On the board number 3, we have Zhogiev against Faramarzi. The last move played was Queen G4. Okay, it's clear that the white want to play F5, F6, and it will be quite dangerous. Also, Bishop H4 is coming. From Bishop H4, go to the F6. Makes sense. Of course, white does not care about the A2 pawn. It's not a time to care about that at all. So yes, white has a huge initiative here. Let's see how they're gonna continue. On the next board here we have Eshpulatov, Islombek against Anaporedi, where Anaporedi already won. Next board we have Ksat Joshua against Gianni Akash. Nice position, very nice position. If there will be no checks on the board, there will be extra queen on A8. Let's see what was the last moves. Let's start from here. Okay, that's very simple thing, that A8 queen was not possible because of Queen D1 checkmate. So that's why white played Queen A4. Maybe they even blundered that when they were going on this line. King E1, check, check, King D3, E4, check, C4, knight E5, check, King C5, Queen C3. And interesting moment, very interesting moment. It has to be the long calculations done here to find out what's actually going on the board. Okay, the problem for white is that if I play King D6, there will be knight C4. Now I can't pass the C file because of knight B2 discover check, and if I go to E7 or E6, does not matter, then it will be Queen E5 check. And the whites are in trouble. Whites are in trouble. Okay, let's see how they will continue there. Next game we have Zheng Leroy against Babakin Kirill. Also very complicated position. The last move was King G6. Okay, if it is white to move, there is nothing complicated there. White can just capture on h4. I hope so. Why not? And they will be just exchange up. Let's go to the section girls under 8. Here we have the games in progress. Here we have the games in progress. Berikisi Alana seems like having not the best position here, as the black has the extra pawn on h file, which will be definitely very dangerous. That will be definitely very dangerous. The only thing that she has to take, I mean the black has to take care about, is to don't give the chance to white to sacrifice the knight for the h pawn, otherwise the position will be just winning. So for example, next move king g3 first, and for example, let's take a look at this, king c7, we can do king g3 first, as if I play h3 instead of king g3, then after knight f2 white does not have any problems. King g3, take on h3, take on h3, king takes b7, and okay, there will not be any problem to trade that pawn, even to capture it straightly, because it's hanging on a5, it's king b6. It could be even dangerous for black to survive in this position. So that's why here we're gonna play first king g3. And after king g3, we are just promoting, yes? The pawn will be unstoppable. So in case the black will play correctly, the position will be just winning. On the next board, we have a result where Sivanandan beat Wen Carroll. Next, we have Nguyen against Veselo. A very interesting position. Very interesting position. Very interesting and complicated position. From one side, white has the f file and the black has unsafe king, but from another side, the black has a very strong passed pawn on d3. Very strong passed pawn. It seems to me I like to play it with the black more than with the white. Next, we have here Ahmadli against Charvi, with the same d6 pawn on the board. The d6 pawn will be the problem forever, as I told you that 20 moves ago, that move will be, that pawn will be the problem, and it's a problem. It's a problem. It's a problem forever. So now everything depends if Ahmadli will continue correctly and technically improving her pieces, and later she could create the attack on d6 pawn even. Now let's go back to open section under 12. Let's take a look how the leaders are doing there. So last move was g3. The last move was g3. By the way, the white is also fighting well. That George Samir David is fighting very well, because I see how Uskov Artyom is playing. He's quite strong chess player already in age under 12, and doing like this against him it's not simple at all. It's not simple at all, and he's trying his best. Whites are trying the best that he can do. Let's see. Let's see. The position is actually complicated. To consider here different moves makes no sense, because there are a lot of moves. So let's go to another game. Here we have Movahed Sina, and we have that e5 on the board with the black. He's creating the problems. This guy is very active. I'm talking about the white. From nothing, he is creating something all the time. In the previous game, if you remember, dear chess friends, there was nothing in the position. He started sacrificing the pawns one after another, and he got the initiative. Now, just pay your attention. Once he pushed h pawn just to create some danger to the opponent's king, and from other side, he's playing b4. that if the black captures on b4, the just bishop takes d4, and the whites are piece up because they could not capture on d4. A rook is hanging on e8, and the game will be over there. So after b4, he's pressing the opponent as much as possible. That is a very important skill for the chess player, to create the problems all the time, and this guy is doing that. It will be very nice to see the game between exactly these two guys, the first and the second board. I'm talking about Movahed-Sina and Uskov. That will be a very interesting game. I'm like waiting for that, when it will be, to take a look how they gonna fight there. That will be the excellent fight. I hope so. Let's go to the next game, where we have Houri Theo against Mamedov Edgar. Yes, we were saying and we were talking about that white has a compensation for the pawn, but maybe nothing more, and this is what they got in the end. They already end up the game with they agreed on draw. Here we have Dotsor against Melnikov. Yes, this position is also what we are talking about. White has some chances, definitely they have some chances, but it will be very difficult to win this game. It will be very difficult to win this game. Next board we have Dolger Dalai against Alizada Pashem. Yeah, so Alizada did his best. He closed the position. In that case, the fact that the white has the pair of the bishops makes no sense at all, and the passed pawn that the white had on e5, it will be more easy to block it. And on the same time, black also create the passed pawn on h5, and believe me, h5 was not the last move that the white can capture on h6. The last move was rook h8, so he equalized totally. I mean, there is no problem for black here. He did well. He did well. Let's see how it goes later. Next game we have here Ray Martinez against Ghazarian. Yeah, almost the same tie position that it was 15 minutes ago. Nothing happened here. Then we have Angelescu against Mohammadian Sichani. What a strange position. Blacks are missing the exchange, but the white's king is very weak. It's very weak, but still they are exchange up, so it has to be better for white, but dark squares around the king. Okay, if I trade the queens, of course that will be excellent, but it is on the same time it is impossible to trade the queens, as the white does not have enough forces for that. When you have the rooks on h1 and f1, it is very difficult to force something. Also, d4 pawn is hanging. Yeah, time after time, I just go to black's position more. I like it more than the white's position. Yes, d4 pawn is hanging, and actually how to support it. Because once the white queen supports it, black could play bishop g7 anytime, and if they capture the d4 pawn, then it will be definitely a very big advantage for them. Initiative makes a very big sense. And this is what is happening in this game. Black has initiative, which could go easily to the victory. Let's take a look at that later. Now let's go to the girls under 12. So as we already talked, Preobrazhenskaya won. Next we have Ismailov Hanim with black against Abramkina Veronika. And what do we have here? We have two pieces for the rook. Actually, two pieces are better than the rook, so just take a look how it was happening there. knight c4. Knight c4 because the rook on a7 was hanging. Rook on a7 was hanging, and if the black moves the rook, then the white also moves the rook, and there is nothing much happening there. The whites are just pawn up. So black decided to do like this. But what to say? White's position is much better here. They are dominating on the light squares. They are just dominating on the light squares. But having the weaknesses also, yes. There is a weakness on d3 and there is a weakness on a3. So what's going on knight c7? That's happening, nothing special there. As on knight c7, black will just capture and play even rook c8. And d3 pawn is hanging. Yes, here will be the fight. Here will be the fight. Let's go to the next game where we have Kali Ahmed Elnaz against Sejdbekova. It is kind of the same type of the position that was 1 hour ago. And the moves, it is just move number 16 after 3 hours of playing. Maybe this position is even stuck there and we don't see the correct position. On the next board, Mgeladze against Vizcara, we are talking much about this game where Mgeladze was 2 pawns up. No, she's only 1 pawn up. She's only 1 pawn up, and black can easily capture on h4, and after king g2 just play g5. That will be very difficult to win. That will be very difficult to win. Black has the good chances for draw. On the next board we have Asilhan with the white against Yosefian. Last move was queen takes e5. Yeah, because of the pawn structure, seems like blacks are better here. Okay, let's go to the open section under 10. This result we already know on the first board. Second board, yes, here we are talking about the compensation in this position. You remember that I said on e5 there is knight d5, so this is exactly happened in the game. Rook b1, knight c3. Take on h4, knight f3, and take d4. Black should not have problems here, but the same for white. The same for white. Obviously, it has to go to the draw, but it is the same. It's the same like in that rook's endgame where everything could happen. So let's go to that rook's endgame. Exactly. Here we are. Let's see what happened in this game. Let's see from here. Rook b6, f5, rook g3, as we are saying, that happened in the game. Rook g4, the same. I mean, they played exactly what we were watching here and considering. Rook g3, I'm not sure about rook g3 here. I'm not sure about rook g3. Maybe rook e2 was better. Why not? Why not? I'm threatening now to capture on g3, then capture on g2, and on the same time on g3 also, it will be just winning. So he played rook take g3 first. Maybe it goes to the same thing. Let's take a look. Rook e2. Yes, actually it goes to the almost same thing. Take f4 and h4. Seems like whites are first. They are first. so black has to play rook b8. Otherwise, if the white push c6, that's it, then game over. c6 or b7 does not matter. So I think black has to play rook b8 to stop it. Then white will play king c4. Just take a quick look. g5, king b5, g4 c6, g3 c7, sorry, g3 c7. It's very nice that rook takes b6 maybe. Maybe, I'm not sure. For example, take g2. Now promoting makes no sense because of g1, and I'm promoting with the check, and it will be just a draw, right? So that makes no sense. But on c7, rook b6. Do I have another move? No, I don't have another move. Otherwise, it will be rook c6 later, or on king c5, then g2 anyway. Quite complicated position. If it will end up with a draw, it will be a very good game actually, and obvious result in the end. On the next board, we have Bulgak lost against Guethan. Pantev Kaloyan is playing against Lakan Rustevid, having a very good bishop on e6, but very difficult to win. The position is without any weaknesses for black. Okay, dear chess friends, now we go on the short break, and we'll be back soon. See you then.
ბათუმი 15-28 სექტემბერი სოფლიო ჩემპიონატი ჭადრაკში ფიდეს ყველაზე პრესტიჟული ღონისძიება მოზარდთა შორის სოფლიოს 69 ქვეყნის ნიჭიერი და წარმატებული 783 მოჭადრაკე აზიის, ამერიკის, აფრიკის და ევროპის კონტინენტებიდან ითამაშე ჭადრაკი ბათუმში გახდი საუკეთესო მსოფლიოში
ხარული ვარ რომ წელს ბათუმი მასპინძლობს ჭადრაკის მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატს მოზარდთა შორის მინდა მივესალმო თითოეულ მონაწილეს და წარმატებები უსურვო.
FIDE-ს სახელით მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატის ყველა მონაწილეს ვუსურვებ წარმატებას.
ბათუმი 15-28 სექტემბერი სოფლიო ჩემპიონატი ჭადრაკში FIDE-ს ყველაზე პრესტიჟული ღონისძიება მოზარდთა შორის სოფლიოს 69 ქვეყნის ნიჭიერი და წარმატებული 783 მოჭადრაკე აზიის, ამერიკის, აფრიკის და ევროპის კონტინენტებიდან ითამაშე ჭადრაკი ბათუმში გახდი საუკეთესო მსოფლიოში
ხარული ვარ რომ წელს ბათუმი მასპინძლობს ჭადრაკის მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატს მოზარდთა შორის მინდა მივესალმო თითოეულ მონაწილეს და წარმატებები უსურვო
FIDE-ს სახელით მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატის ყველა მონაწილეს ვუსურვებ წარმატებას.
Hello dear chess friends, so we continue broadcasting the games. We are on the round number 2 and let's take a look what's going on there. So let's start with the open section under 12. Here we have already the result on the first board where Uskov Artyom was playing with black against George Samir. As I told you, the game was quite interesting. Uskov was doing his best to get some chances, but we also have to say that George Samir did his best. Actually, he did his best, and he held his position, and the opponents agreed on draw. In this moment, let's go to the next board where we have Movahetsina playing with white against Karacha Igit. So the last move was knight d4. Yes, seems like that's not the game where Sina could create tricky things as he was doing in the previous game. The opponent is doing quite well. The blacks, they look solid. They look quite solid. So we have to pay our attention, and we have to mention that the pawn structure for white is not the best. So Movahed has to be careful already with that, as if the game goes to the end game. For example, just imagine if we take off the queens from the board, then that problem connected to the pawn structure and pawn islands will be quite dangerous for white. So now it is I think this is a moment where the chess player has to make the wake-up call. Okay, he did his best, but the opponent also did everything well. In that case, if you could not win the game with the forces that you have with the board on the board, you don't have to risk much, because when you are risking, you can even lose the game. So this is just a short suggestion from my side, but let's see what actually going to happen in the game. So let's go to the next game. The next game already finished, and it's a draw, Houri against Mamedov Edgar. The next one on the board number 4, we have Dotsor playing against Melnikov and trying of course his best to use all chances that he has. And okay, we have to say that of course white has a chance. So let's see how they're going to continue there. On the next board, Delger Dalai, he won. Yes, he won. We are talking about this position, that there was the e5 pawn very strong on the board, and in case the black wants to create something on the king side, they have that chance. So just take a look what was happening after all of this that we were talking about. So let's go a little bit back from here. Even we can just take a look at this game. So rook g1, and exactly white started their attack on the king side, and that's absolutely correct. Yes, and somewhere they sacrifice on h5. Yes, that was a time. That was a time to sacrifice, actually. Yes. Take. Otherwise, later it could be already late. Yeah, excellent. Excellent attack whites are doing. Excellent. It is very nice to see the kids, this age kids, doing such important decisions during the game, and they are doing it alone, right? Because when they are, for example, training and they are sitting with the coach, sometimes coach is helping them, right? And the responsibility is not so high. But here the responsibility is highest, and when they are making the decisions like that, this is excellent. That talks about the skills of the chess player. So knight f8, and yes, just game over, just game over. Okay, excellent attack that Delgir Dalai did in this game. Excellent attack. Okay, let's go to the next game where Ray Martinez is playing against Hazarian. Yeah, the position is with the chances from the both sides, but seems to me that the c5 square is very important here for, I mean, the black has c5 square, and it could be quite important, right? The dark squares are weak. So seems like black's position is quite good here. Let's go to the next game. Here we have Angelescu against Mohammadian Sichani. Yes, the black sacrificed too much. They sacrificed too much, and now they are missing the rook. That's not good at all, I'll tell you straightly. That's not good at all, missing the rook. Okay, let's see what happened in this game, because in some moment I thought that the position for them was quite okay. So what happened here? The last moment we review, it was this. Yes, black sacrificed the rook on d4. I mean, the exchange on d4, take, and queen f4. So what the white did here? Rook e1, take. Okay. Yes, the position seems very good for black. c3, take. It's black to move, sorry. I somehow thought it was the white to move. It's black to move, and of course black will capture on f3. Of course they will capture on f3. And now on king g1 it is very simple, bishop a7, and on queen f2 it is queen h1 hanging. So white are forced to play king e1 and then just take on h1. So it seems like it's time to resign. Excellent game played by Mohammadian Sichani. Excellent game also. Next one, it was Villa against Keneshbekov, where Keneshbekov won. Now let's go to the girls section. On the first board we know that Preobrazhenskaya won. Second board was a great fight. Let's take a look at that. Yes, here we are, and okay. The white's pieces are mobile now. They support all their weaknesses. I'm talking about the D pawn and the A pawn. They support both of them. Now it will be very difficult for black to survive in this game. It will be very difficult. Let's go to the next board where we have Kali Ahmed against Sezhdbekova. The last move was rook takes c4. So I think white gonna capture on e5. Why not? And what's going on with that knight on d4? I can't see anything. You just can't see anything. So seems like they are just losing the knight. It's a little bit strange. So let's take a look at the previous moves. So So knight d4, knight d3, rook takes c4, so bravely, and after knight e5, what to do? Yeah, seems like blacks are in trouble. The next game we have Geladze here. Oh, with the very strange rook on b7. With the very strange rook on b7, but a wonderful position we are having here. So what was the last move? Just take a look, it's very interesting. So after f3, a6, The question is how to improve with the white. Was not it c4 better here? For example, to play on c4 rook takes a6. Pardon me. Oh, then how to improve at all? Maybe bishop c4 then was the move. Yes, bishop c4 gives me some hopes there to play d5 and then a7. Yeah, bishop c5 was a move. Bishop c4 was a move, which was actually interesting. Yes. Okay. We'll be back to that game later. Let's go to the next board where Yusefian with black beat Asilhan. Now let's go to the section under 10 open. Here we know already this result. On the board number 2, Tarek against Smirnov Mark. If you remember, this is a position where the white sacrifice the pawn and get back it. Let's take a look from here. e5, knight d5, rook b1. Yes, we saw this. And here we said that that's the equal position. Let's see how they made it complicated. Bishop a6. Yeah, bishop on c5 is very strong. Bishop on c5. Black bishop on c5 is very strong. So build here for white. Next game we have Lou Patrick against Desiuk Roman. Seems like c2 pawn gonna be lost, but it will be very close to draw. That will be very close to draw. The position is very close to draw here. Okay, let's go to the next one. Here we have already draw between Kim and Golis. And Anand is still playing. Let's take a look at Anand. Yeah, he is having a very good position. Controlling the d file, having the better pieces. Okay, it seems like whites are in a very big trouble. Okay, and here Gyo won with black against Bulgak. Let's go to the section girls under 10, where Lee Iris is still playing. Lee Iris is still playing with black against Amanjol Hanzada. Last move was queen c3. The bishop on e3 is hanging, so black's position seems better here. Oh, what a wonderful position. Basari against Shahin Zainab. Rook b6 was the last move. So I think it will be simply winning if I play queen d1. Maybe there is another moves also winning. I don't think that it's the only move, but I'm just looking for the easiest way, because after b1 white just captures and the pawn's endgame has to be winning with the extra pawn. And on queen d1, if they don't promote, then I will play just king b1 on the next move, and that's it. Then I will capture the pawns on the king side. So after queen d1, it seems like Valeri is winning this game. Next we have Kutateladze against Feng. And what do we have here? Kutateladze is pawn down, but it will be very difficult to break through. So what could be the plan for black? King d7, king c7, and then rook c5. And the pawn's endgame has to be winning there again. Yes, that's the only plan I see for black. King d7, king c7, and then rook c5. But it could be enough to win the game. Let's see if Kutateladze could hold there the position. Next game is over. Venskaya beat Tong Tai. This we are talking about. That Venskaya had a better position. Let's go to the section open under 8. I think most of the games are over there. So first board Georgia won. Second board we have stacked. Third board is in progress. Yes, and the whites are attacking on the king side, very active. They are very active there. So we're talking about Zhogiev against Faramarsi. The attack will be quite dangerous. But the black also has counterplay. The position is unclear. If there will be no checkmate, then of course blacks are just definitely winning. But this attack seems to me very powerful, because after bishop e3, rook a f1 also will be the problems there. For black will be the problems. Let's see what will be there happening later. On the next board we have a result here with the black Anapuredi beat Eshpulatov. And on the next board, that was also very interesting. Okay, it was not, it is, as it is in progress. It is in progress. So let's take a look at the moves that happened since we were reviewing it. So king b6 was in the game, knight c4, king c7, queen e5 check. Yes, so queen a8, queen d7, queen d5, check again. Seems like that's it. There is no checks, and queen a8 check is hanging. After queen a8 check, I just capture the a7 pawn. So seems like blacks are winning. So Gianni Akash seems winning this game. Next game we have Zheng Leroy against Babakin Kirill, where the white has two extra queens, and yeah, they did the checkmate. I think we can go to the girls under 8, where most of the games are finished. So on the first board, Diao won against Birkizi. Second board, Sivanandan beat Wen Carroll. It's a long time that's finished. So the next here we have in progress. We have the game in progress, where the white has protected passed pawn on the same time when black has just a passed pawn on e4 but better king. So which one is better? Very good question. So for example I played c6 here, king d6, king takes e4, king takes c6, king e5. Seems just winning. Yep, they're just winning. So the only thing that Guendoan has to do here is bravely to play c6. Let's go to the next game where Ahmadli lost against Charvi. Next we have Duplessis with white that lost against Machina Victoria, which was quite active during the whole game. Next one we have Halafand won. Okay, it's in progress still, but definitely winning against Edi Beridze. Now I think it's time to go back to the open section under 12, where the second board was playing. That guy, Movahed Sinan. It's just unbelievable and unimaginable to win this with white. Of course there are some troubles, but too few for black. Too few. So I think this game also will go to draw, as obviously it has to. It has to, obviously. Next, the third board already ended up. We know this. On the board number 4, it's in progress, and you see Dotsor is doing his best. He's activating his pieces, sometimes from the left, sometimes from the right. That's actually excellent skill for the chess player. So if he continues like that and the opponent will be in passive defense, the white gonna win this game, definitely. They're gonna win because they are kind of pawn up, right? That a pawn is extra and the black has the d6 pawn for that, which is not compensating the advantage of white. Yeah, it's just a pawn on d6 which is doing nothing. So whites are kind of pawn up. The only good thing that is for them that the opposite color bishops. But if you will stay in passive defense with the opposite color bishops, it is opposite, it is worse, because the opponent's bishop will be like extra. Why? Because the opponent's bishop gonna do the job and your bishop will do nothing. So in this case it was just necessary somewhere to create the active counterplay, otherwise in this passive defense they will not survive. They will not survive. Let's go to the next game. It is over. Another game. We have Ray Martinez game in progress against Ghazarian. Last move was rook b1. From where? Rook from e1 to b1. Wait a sec. Knight c5, knight d3, take, b4, rook b1. So what's going on if the white captured this? Why not to capture the rook on g3? It's an interesting thing. Why not to capture the rook? I don't know. Why not to capture the rook? Okay, rook b1. And the blacks are thinking. Black's position are like they are pressing more. The white's position is quite dangerous. Okay, we will be back to that game. Until that, okay, we have this result. We already know Angelescu against Mohammad Diansicani and Villa Tornero lost against Keneshbekov. Now let's go to the section girls under 12. The first board we already know the result. On the second board we had Ismailova Hanim, which is losing, as I told you. If the white mobilize that two pieces against the rook, then it will be a big advantage for them. So this is what happened in the game, and they are just winning. On the next board we have Kali Ahmed beat Sershtbekova. Geladze Kesaria. Okay, let's take a look what happened there after King E2. Check, King F1, take on F5, they decided to take on F5. So they are still pawn up, but what to do next? Okay, of course white has chances. Of course white has chances. So the black has to go out with that rook as fast as possible from c3, otherwise the white king just goes from g to h3, g4, f5. It is very important to activate the king here. So we need the rook active. If the black will not keep the rook active, then it will be very tough to survive in this position. Next boards are over. Okay, dear chess friends, we are to the end of the second round. So a couple of the games I think will play about, I mean, it is still complicated positions there and they will not end up soon. So we will do the short break now and we'll continue till the end of the games. See you soon.
ბათუმი 15-28 სექტემბერი სოფლიო ჩემპიონატი ჭადრაკში FIDE-ს ყველაზე პრესტიჟული ღონისძიება მოზარდთა შორის სოფლიოს 69 ქვეყნის ნიჭიერი და წარმატებული 783 მოჭადრაკე აზიის, ამერიკის, აფრიკის და ევროპის კონტინენტებიდან ითამაშე ჭადრაკი ბათუმში გახდი საუკეთესო მსოფლიოში
ხარული ვარ რომ წელს ბათუმი მასპინძლობს ჭადრაკის მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატს მოზარდთა შორის მინდა მივესალმო თითოეულ მონაწილეს და წარმატებები უსურვო.
FIDE-ს სახელით მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატის ყველა მონაწილეს ვუსურვებ წარმატებას.
ბათუმი 15-28 სექტემბერი სოფლიო ჩემპიონატი ჭადრაკში FIDE-ს ყველაზე პრესტიჟული ღონისძიება მოზარდთა შორის სოფლიოს 69 ქვეყნის ნიჭიერი და წარმატებული 783 მოჭადრაკე აზიის, ამერიკის, აფრიკის და ევროპის კონტინენტებიდან ითამაშე ჭადრაკი ბათუმში გახდი საუკეთესო მსოფლიოში
ხარული ვარ რომ წელს ბათუმი მასპინძლობს ჭადრაკის მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატს მოზარდთა შორის მინდა მივესალმო თითოეულ მონაწილეს და წარმატებები უსურვო.
FIDE-ს სახელით მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატის ყველა მონაწილეს ვუსურვებ წარმატებას.
Hello dear chess friends, so we are in the end of the second round, so let's go taking a quick review of the games that left. Let's start with the open section under 12. There was second board playing. And the game is over, so in these 10 minutes Movahed Sina won this game, so yes, that guy is amazing. Let's see what happened in the game after this. Queen d6. Black, oh, come on. They went back and then they just blunder everything. Yes. Yeah. Okay, what to say? What to say? Well done for Movahed Sina. The next, what we have here, the board number 4, agreed on draw. Okay, they decided to agree on draw. That was actually the obvious result of this game. The rest of the games are over. Let's go to the girl section. Under 12, first board is over, second board also, third board also, fourth board is still playing, so let's take a look at this. Okay, what happened in the game? It's very interesting. We were saying that white's king, if they activate the king, it will be very tough to survive for black, so it seems like everything goes to that. So I'll go a little bit back to take a look what happened there. Okay, this we already saw. Yes, and from here, okay, this is what we were talking about. It was not time for black to move the king left and right. Instead of that, they have to activate their rook, which is stacked on c3. So later, it's already late. It's already late. The white's king is active. To have the active king in the endgame is a very important thing. It's a very important thing. And d6. Okay, black gave everything. I mean, the white has a dream what could happen after that. And actually how to survive here with the black. How to survive, because if the black captures on d6, there will be rook d7 check. On king c8, it will be rook d6 discover check. And then we are just capturing the bishop on d2, and it's totally winning, of course. And from other way, if the black will not capture on d6, then what to play? Playing c5 makes no big sense, because after rook c7, it's an unstoppable checkmate from c8. So it seems Galadze is winning this game. The rest of the games are over. Let's take a look in the section open under 10, where the second board is in progress. Utarik is playing against Smirnov Mark, where Smirnov Mark seems much better here, as the bishop is stronger than the knight in this type of positions, where there will be the passed pawn. Bishop will control more squares than the knight. So it seems like just losing. For white. Let's go to the next games which are over. So let's go to another section. This is girls under 10. Here almost all games are over. Here we have it in progress. So this is the position that we are talking about. That's interesting what the white did. They did queen h1. Okay, it's possible. Promote, take, and it went to the pawn's endgame, which is definitely winning for white. Yeah, it's just simply winning. If I even capture on f4, it's just winning. So the white gonna win this game. Okay, let's go to open section under 8, where I think all games are done. Yes, here all games are done. Girls under 8 also all games are done. So okay, let's take a look at a couple games that we have in the open section. In open section everything is over. We have in the girls section, just a sec, Geladze actually, this is Geladze playing, and okay, I think black gonna resign here as rook a8 is unstoppable, so this game, we can say this game is over. And the open section under 10. Yes, here Utarik already resigned in last 2 minutes. I mean, we were talking about this position a couple minutes ago, and he already resigned. And what's left? Actually, nothing left. Let's take a quick look again at girls under 12 to Geladze Kesaria, if the opponent resigned there already, or they are still playing. No, she also resigned, so we have mostly all games done for today. It was a quite interesting day. It was with the higher quality games today. It was more interesting games, more complicated. A lot of favorite players did not win their games, so it means that the real fight already has started, and from tomorrow we are waiting for more complicated and interesting games. Today we had a very the great guest, the legend Susan Polgar, and I want to thank her one more time and hope to see her again and again in Georgia, and see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
ბათუმი 15-28 სექტემბერი სოფლიო ჩემპიონატი ჭადრაკში. FIDE-ს ყველაზე პრესტიჟული ღონისძიება მოზარდთა შორის. სოფლიოს 69 ქვეყნის ნიჭიერი და წარმატებული 783 მოჭადრაკე აზიის, ამერიკის, აფრიკის და ევროპის კონტინენტებიდან. ითამაშე ჭადრაკი ბათუმში. გახდი საუკეთესო მსოფლიოში.
ხარული ვარ, რომ წელს ბათუმი მასპინძლობს ჭადრაკის მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატს მოზარდთა შორის. მინდა მივესალმო თითოეულ მონაწილეს და წარმატებები უსურვო.
FIDE-ს სახელით მსოფლიო ჩემპიონატის ყველა მონაწილეს ვუსურვებ წარმატებას.